Welcome to the Steering Change Podcast, navigating through the commercial transportation industry in Alberta and beyond. Powered by the Alberta Motor Transport Association. Here's your host, Kelsey Hipkin.
Hello, friends. It is I, Kelsey Hipkin. Welcome. In commercial transportation, not every carrier is built to do everything, and that is exactly the point. In this episode of Steering Change, we're digging into how specialized carriers support the logistics industry by providing specialized services. We'll start with Kevin Parkinson, Vice President of A1 Towing Inc., about their safety-first mentality and wide array of specialty vehicles. Then we'll chat with Palko, owner of Paramount Limousine, about professionalism behind the wheel and driving with Shania Twain's dogs. And then we'll end with Bill Rempel, CEO of Steve's Livestock Transport, about the ins and outs, safety, and training of transporting live animals. Let's get started. First up, we have Kevin Parkinson, Vice President with A1 Towing Inc. out of Rocky View, Alberta. Kevin, welcome.
Thank you.
So first, tell us a bit about A1 and the services you provide.
A1 Towing's a Canadian family-owned company, been around for over 20 years, serving Calgary and Alberta. Mm-hmm. They've been a growing company over the last little while to be one of the largest in the province. And they take care of 4 divisions, basically, as I describe it. The light-duty division is more the passenger vehicles and those types of vehicles that people drive. The medium-duty is more the bit heavier trucks to container hauling on a flat deck and things like that, to specialty vehicles that need special care.
Okay.
And then we have our heavy-duty recovery, which is one of the most important for the highways in Alberta when there are, major breakdowns of and rollover recovery type situations that can, stop the flow of traffic. And we need to get out there quickly and stuff and recover those vehicles. We work closely with the RCMPs and the provincial polices and stuff like that. And then we have our equipment hauling division, which is specialty trailers that haul things like buses, like large equipment and things like that. So that division is doing very well and growing. So
awesome. And with all these specialty vehicles that you are working with, are there decisions that A1 and your drivers make that most drivers don't usually have to think about?
Safety is our number one priority for us when we're arriving on the scene of, it could be just a simple breakdown, it could be an accident, it could be a rollover. Safety's first. We take very extraordinary care to make sure that if there's a family or a person involved in the vehicle, make sure they're safe. And then, of course, making sure that our procedures and our drivers are safe, using blockers, using extra drivers to take care of the traffic control situations and things like that. So people need to know that when a situation happens, and usually it's stressful, and people are really concerned that their safety, on a highway when the traffic is going fast and everything else, that we take that care to make sure that they're safe.
Awesome. And you mentioned blockers. Is that a traffic control device? Can you explain that one for us?
There's many different types of blockers. The AMTA, for example, uses ATS, where they bring out a specific piece of equipment that actually sits in front of where the incident is, and it actually acts as a protective barrier.
Okay.
Where in the event that a vehicle doesn't see them, and it hits that, it refrains the vehicle from hitting any of the emergency type people that are working to do the recovery. There are simple situations where we use an extra vehicle to secure our driver, and then that person is actually traffic controlled as well. So the vehicle's there to give extra awareness, and then the drivers are there to move the vehicles around our people. We use maybe a secondary tow truck, as well as we have specialty vehicles that are traffic control vehicles.
Great. And then within your field, are there special rules or training that tow truck drivers, any kind of operations you do require?
Absolutely. I mean, all of our drivers are required to take defensive driving courses and to ensure that they follow all of the road procedures and everything else. We do extensive training in things like fire safety, use of fire extinguishers in the event that something like that is required. We have cargo secured training where there's specialty equipment used in order to secure a vehicle, whether it's being towed by a tow truck on a flat deck, and how to secure that so that the equipment doesn't fail. There's, of course, all of the personal protection equipment type of training that they have to go to make sure they're wearing all the proper equipment. So there's a vast amount of training required in our industry, which follows a lot of the Alberta transportation rules.
And you have a variety of vehicles. Do you have a busier time of year? Are you pretty steady? I know late last year we had that nasty weather and there was a few trucks had gone off the road by Airdrie. I'm from south of Calgary, so that wind tends to knock trucks off the road often. Do you have a busy season?
Winter is always, I would say, we're busy all year round, and especially with the growth and everything that we've experienced this year. Winter always causes the transportation industry as a whole a lot of concerns, a lot of issues, problems on the highways and trying to keep those highways clear.
Yeah.
So yes, winter would be a time where you'll see delays in the response time and everything else, just due to sometimes in that situation where we had multiple pileups. We weren't even allowed on scene because they closed the road completely until the weather cleared.
Oh, okay.
They didn't want further vehicles showing up and getting stuck or causing incidents and stuff like that. So they closed the road completely. They wait for the weather to clear, and then they ask for the companies like ourselves to come out and help out clear those types of things. So weather always causes issues in that concern. When Mother Nature isn't good to you, she's good to us. So,
okay, one last question for you today, Kevin. If you could change one thing about how the public views your job, what would it be?
I'd have to say that the number one concern people have is expenses, how expensive towing is, which isn't exactly correct. Towing can be expensive depending on the situation and everything else, but it's time on scene. It's those things that we have to, recover for our time. However, in the most part, towing isn't expensive. Whether it's a simple your car won't start, or it's up to a situation where it's an accident or broken down on a road. Recovering the vehicle or getting the vehicle back on the road as quick as you can save a lot of time and money for you. The use of your vehicle, whether it's for work or whether it's for, the family and everything else, having to go out and rent vehicles and things like that can be extremely expensive. So getting your vehicle back to you in as quick as you can save you a lot of money. So towing really can help you. And it's not expensive when you look at it. The costs of towing a vehicle from point A to point B is relatively inexpensive. So,
awesome. Kevin, thank you so much for coming in today.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me.
Wonderful. We're now joined by Pearl Palko of Paramount Limousine. Pearl, welcome and thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So, Pearl, tell us a bit about yourself and how Paramount Limousine came to be.
Okay, so I'm a single mother of 2 adult sons. I'm in my mid-50s, and I was born and raised in Edmonton, Alberta. I've married my high school sweetheart and moved to Calgary. That's where he lived. So I moved my job from Edmonton, and I was able to transfer to Calgary.
Nice.
So I'm formally educated as a lab tech.
Oh, wow.
For animals.
That's a jump. That's a jump from lab tech to limousines.
Quite a big jump. And so when I moved here in 97, then I worked as a lab assistant at Prov Lab of Calgary. And I did that till about 2004. That's when I had my second son, was actually in 2003. And I was paying more money to daycare than what I could make.
I know the feeling.
So I thought, well, this doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to quit. And the kids they needed their mom.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to be with them more. So I opened a day home. And I did that for a year and a half, which was great. I had a lot of fun with the kids, and we did a lot of things. And then once my oldest son turned 5,
Mm-hmm.
and he entered school full time, then I still had my younger son, who was 2, and I decided to drive school bus.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I entered into my driving career.
Which a lot of parents I know take up the school bus gig because you can still be with your kids, but then you have a job on the side.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it fits within my older son's schedule too.
Mm-hmm. Works for everybody.
It worked for everybody. So then I realized, this is not quite paying my bills, but it fit, and I could bring my younger son with me.
Mm-hmm.
So I learned from a neighbor that I could drive Limousine. And I thought, no, that's a man's job. And he said, no, women do quite well in that industry.
Mm-hmm.
And I sat on it for 3 months until I finally, I fell into it.
Yeah.
And I took my girlfriends out on a ladies' night. It was called Mint, the Mint nightclub on 9th Avenue.
Okay.
And we got a free limo. And I lost my purse rolled on the floor when the lady driver,
Yeah.
chauffeur, when she stopped. And my cell phone fell out of my purse and rolled underneath the seat,
Mm-hmm.
which I didn't notice. It was kind of dark in there. So we went into the bar, we had our free drinks, and I thought, well, I better check in with the babysitter. And that's when I realized I didn't have my cell phone.
No phone.
So I phoned the company, the limo company, to find my phone, to see if they can get my phone. And the owner said, I have to call back tomorrow because the cleaners need to go in and check. So I phoned the next day, and they found my phone. And that's when I mustered up the courage to ask if they need any drivers. And his immediate answer was no.
Okay.
And then he paused and he says, well, what class of driver's license do you have? I said 2. Oh, yeah, we need drivers. Yeah,
case,
we're always
you're in.
hiring.
Yeah. So maybe the phone falling was it was that extra nudge.
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Things happen for a reason.
Yeah. And was that Paramount, or how did Paramount come to be?
Well, that was Cascade.
Okay.
And so I worked for them for about 1.5 years, 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I washed their cars because they needed someone that could drive the vehicles around the shop.
Versatile. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I did that while my youngest son, I finally had him in preschool, like preschool, so that I could go to the shop, clean a couple cars, pick up the glassware, go back and get my son.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I still had cars to clean, I'd bring him back to the shop with me, and he would help me wash cars.
So some versatility there, which is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then after we had a falling out, and they actually fired me, which it wasn't my fault. The story gets better. And I had a friend that was selling one of his 8-passenger Lincoln Town car stretches.
Okay.
And I thought, well, how about I buy it? You give me your overflow. We actually came together with the plan.
Yeah.
It wasn't all me. We put it together.
Mm-hmm.
And he was the godfather to my kids. So he had vested interest in making sure that I was able to pay my mortgage and the bills. That was Friday when I bought the vehicle. And by Monday, the owner of Cascade phoned me back and said, we're sorry. We made a mistake. We'd love to have you back.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I'm sorry, but I bought my own limo.
Yeah.
Oh.
Striking out on my own.
Yeah. And that's, we patched up our relationship in the long run. I started renting a parking spot from them.
Nice.
And then I started washing their cars again because their cleaners just were not keeping up. So we became kind of like a affiliate, a really strong affiliate relationship. We always worked well together.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I stepped back into the role of cleaning their vehicles and maintaining their cars. And we would share trips. I would sell his vehicles, but put my drivers in them.
Mm-hmm.
And if I had a breakdown, I would phone the owner of Cascade and, can I borrow a car?
Yeah. So it worked out for everyone in the end.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
we would do that for each other.
Mm-hmm.
And we wouldn't charge each other. We were just looking out for each other.
Yeah.
So it was a really good relationship.
You're with Paramount now and have been for...
Since 2007.
2007. Okay. So we're approaching the 20-year anniversary. With limo drivers, with yourself as a limo fleet operator, what are some decisions that you and your drivers make that most drivers don't have to think about?
Well, it's a threefold.
Mm-hmm.
For someone who owns the business, is driving, and I have to pay attention to who is the customer.
Mm-hmm.
Not always the person in the vehicle that I'm driving is the customer. That's usually it's an employee,
mm-hmm.
and their boss is paying for the ride. So the perspective, I try to take my perspective and put it and move it to their perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So I have the whole picture. So the conversation will change according to who's in the car.
Yeah.
And not always do I get to be the driver. We almost drove Gene Simmons.
Oh, cool.
And I was shocked when I saw on the trip sheet that they don't allow female drivers.
Oh, interesting.
So I was actually hurt. I took it too personally. I'm like, God damn.
So close.
So I'm in the position where I have to pick and choose the personality of the driver and their ability to the customer that's going to be in the car.
Okay.
You have to kind of fit them.
Yes.
And so when I stepped back and I had to understand that sometimes these people are such a high profile,
mm-hmm.
they can't be alone with a female.
Gotcha.
And that's what happened with Gene Simmons.
That's fair.
Yeah. But yeah, so the other perspective is realizing it took a little while for me to realize that I cannot answer my phone when I'm driving.
Mm-hmm.
So over time, I realized I have to be the dispatch.
Gotcha.
So I'd answer the phone if it's the customer in the car trying to talk to the driver, or sometimes they don't feel comfortable talking to the driver,
mm-hmm.
so they'll call the office.
Oh, okay.
Or they'll call their boss, and the boss will call me. And so I'll phone the driver or the chauffeur and let them know, like, this guy is not comfortable with this vehicle. We need to take it back. You can take him for lunch, drop him off, go back to the shop and get an SUV.
Oh, okay.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
Sometimes some cars have more tinted windows than others. And they bring the customers bring their laptops. Mm-hmm. And they like to work in the car while we're driving them around.
So we're not talking just your average kind of white stretch limo that people might think of when you think limousines. You guys have different vehicles that you transport people in.
Good question, because that's how I started. I started with stretch limousine, and because my ability to drive large vehicles from the school bus driving. Mm-hmm. About 2015 is when I landed a big contract with an affiliate out of Toronto.
Okay.
And they needed me to have corporate vehicles.
Oh, okay.
So another affiliate, he was going out of the business, mm-hmm. and he had 2 sedans and an SUV. And I bought those three at all at once. So I got kind of like a pretty good discount.
Building up your fleet.
Yeah. And so that was the turning point from going from just stretch, we call that retail, whereas weddings, birthday parties, it's usually drinking events.
Yeah.
To corporate, where we're driving CEOs of large corporations, Rod Stewart. Like we drive stars around too.
Nice. Awesome.
Yeah. So we give customer service to the people. Mm-hmm. When we pick them up from the airport is usually where it starts. And then shortly after the driver drops them off to their hotel or their accommodations, I'll phone the driver and say, okay, what do we need to do? Mm-hmm. Tell me everything. And how did the conversation go? Do we need to give them different water, whatever the case is.
Yeah, special request kind of things.
Yeah, because Shania Twain, she had her dogs with her.
Ah, okay.
So that was something we had to accommodate.
Yeah.
And then she had her kids the next time. So it was her husband's birthday party,
Yeah.
his 50th birthday. So she had us drive her kids around for a little bit while she got things ready for the birthday party.
Gotcha.
And then, and we stood standby
Mm-hmm.
when we dropped the kids off to the birthday party, and she asked the driver to stay in case someone needed to, because it was out of town.
Gotcha.
And it's quite interesting to see what goes on behind the scenes for these stars.
So when you're talking about all these different logistics with whether it's your clients or folks that you are driving around, are there special rules or training that your niche requires?
Yes. So driving passengers is precious cargo,
Mm-hmm.
as with driving school bus with children. So there's the safety aspect and keeping people safe, basically. That includes not allowing certain people within the vicinity of the passenger,
Mm-hmm.
trying to keep them away from the crowds, keeping it discreet on who we're driving, because sometimes that's happened actually with Pitbull, where the driver was standing by and a lady came up to the driver and she was, oh, Pitbull. And
okay.
this is a nice vehicle. It was an Escalade. And she's like, oh, I need a ride to the airport. Can I get your card? And the driver was a little bit naive and handed the card, and she said, so he's going to the airport. And the driver confirmed it. Sure enough, she just got enough info to be at the airport when Pitbull was leaving the vehicle to get into the airport. And it compromised his safety. So we have to be very careful who we talk to, what we say, like to the general public, and who we're driving. So that aspect is in the car safety, but we do have special driver's license. Like we can have a class 1, 2, or a 4.
Okay.
And then we also require the drivers to have a clean abstract.
Okay.
You can have up to 9 demerits, but 0 is better.
Ideally.
Always, right?
Yes.
And then we do require them to have, like in Calgary, we require them to have a chauffeur's badge. They call it a taxi driver's license now.
Oh, okay.
Right. So the city just put the driver's license of a taxi cab driver
Okay.
and a chauffeur driver together.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't aware that was a thing.
It is.
Yeah.
And so when I get a new driver or a prospective driver that calls and says, are you looking for drivers? And I said, yes. And the first thing I ask is, do you have a chauffeur's badge or a taxi driver's license badge? And when the answer will tell me, I'll guide them.
Yeah.
And I'll go to the livery, open a file, and they'll guide you from there. And when you get that done, come back to me. And that usually tells me if they're serious
Yeah.
or they're not. So, but we're also, Alberta transportation is a big part of our legislation here in Alberta. I'm a provincial Alberta transportation company.
Yeah.
So we only drive within the province, but we can get, like with the larger vehicles.
So you would fall under provincial regulation with all of your...
Not the whole fleet,
Okay.
but the 11 passengers and over.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but we're still because I do have 11 passenger and over vehicles, all of my fleet falls under Alberta transportation.
Okay.
Right. It's not just the large vehicles.
And then so with us, you would fall under full carrier status.
Correct.
Okay.
That's how it is. I mean, I've had to learn how to, with new drivers, I've implemented a driver safety program, and I have my manager takes the new driver out in a stretch, because the stretch is the thing.
Yeah.
If you can't drive a stretch, you can't drive corporate.
Yeah.
I mean, learning how to drive in a stretch means you have to manage the large vehicle, plus you have to manage the people in the back. If you can do that, then we move you into corporate. Once they get, because with retail, people are not looking to make sure you're wearing a suit, or you have to read the people. Do you talk or don't talk? So you just read the room in the car. With corporate, it's different because they don't want to talk to you sometimes. They just want to talk to their friends on the phone because they're in between duties or tasks.
Yeah.
And so their private life, they have to phone the wife or the husband.
And then if you could change one thing about how the public views your job, what would it be?
That's a good question. I had a little bit of a tough time with that one because I kind of thought, I think with Stretch Limousine, I'm guilty of it. I've driven large groups in big vehicles, and I've driven hundreds, maybe thousands of people. And I'll be walking downtown with my kids or carrying on, and someone will come up to me and hug me. Oh, we had so much fun, Pearl. And I'm like, and I'll just pretend that I remember who they are because you have like 12 people in a car, and you can't remember everybody, but they seem to remember you.
That's fair.
What else? Professionalism. It's not just the ability to drive a vehicle, professionally. It's being able to carry a conversation and knowing what to say and when to say. You know, I've learned over time, not everybody wants to talk to me. And don't take it personally.
Yeah, some are just doing their own thing.
Yeah.
Okay, Pearl, well, this is officially the first time we have mentioned Shania Twain, Pitbull, and Rod Stewart in
all in
the same podcast episode. Maybe ever. We really appreciate you coming in today, shedding some light on your fleet, and that was the point of this episode, right, is to discuss carriers and fleets that are a little different than average. So thank you so much for taking the time today.
Thank you, Kelsey. It's my pleasure.
Take care.
Thank you.
We're now joined by Bill Rempel, CEO of Steve's Livestock, all the way from Blumenort, Manitoba. Bill, welcome.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us today. So to start off, tell us a bit about Steve's Livestock and the services you provide.
Yes, for sure. Steve's Livestock Transport began in 1987. And as the name might give it away, it was by an individual by the name of Steve Brandt. And that's why the name on the door says Steve's. He saw a need for a more dependable and humane customer-focused livestock transportation service. And so that's where it started, with a small operation with a single truck. It was an F-350 with a gooseneck trailer, and the company grew to be driven by its strong values that have held true. It's always about making it better, and collectively as a group is what we aim to do. So over the years, as the industry grew, so did the business.
And Bill, would cattle be your main commodity, or do you deal in other livestock as well?
So predominantly we deal with hogs. So that would be about 80 to 85% of what we truck is actually hogs. Animals move all over the world. We truck every week from Saskatchewan, Alberta, into Iowa, but we do regular runs into like Miami International, Chicago O'Hare, JFK.
Really?
Those are regular moves we do from Canada into the US, and then they go to global markets. And those are genetic pigs for production.
Oh, wow.
Multiplication. Yeah.
Cool. Fun fact. So when you are dealing with livestock in general, what are some decisions you or your drivers need to make that most drivers might not have to think about otherwise?
Yeah, for sure. Our drivers make dozens of specialized decisions every day, many of which most truckers never encounter. And examples are like, focus on animal welfare is always the priority. So drivers are constantly evaluating temperatures, airflow, animal behavior. And then on top of that is the biosecurity decisions that they need to make. So every load, every piece of equipment is handled specifically to that load to ensure that they're to prevent cross-contamination. That's a huge piece of what we do. And an examples is when fueling, pulling into a fuel stop to make sure they're not next to another livestock trailer.
So, are there special rules or training that your niche requires?
Yeah, there's a lot of rules. Our niche is one of the most highly regulated areas of trucking, and
Mhm.
for good reason. Animal welfare and food safety are the non-negotiables. And an example is all of our trailers are washed on the hog side after every load, not just washed and cleaned, they're disinfected. And most of the time, what we would call baking, which is a high temperature drying to kill the bacteria and dry the trailer. And then every driver has a box that they carry with them that's specific for them with their boots in it, and they're disinfected after
Ah.
every time they go into the trailer. And they have separate clothing for going in the trailer. They can never have foot contact with the same footwear that they have in the trailer. So there's a fair bit that goes on just with regard to biosecurity.
Bill, you've spoken to humane practices a bit. In your time in industry, has that come a long way?
Come a long way. There's there's new health of animals regulations that were enacted in the last decade that changed significantly. There's also practice improvement. So not just the regulatory side, but there's improvement with new research, new equipment, new technology. There's always improvements that come along the way. Today, we have trailers that we use for specialized long distance moves of specialty animals that are fully ventilated in closed trailers.
Awesome. Thank you. And if you could change one thing about how the public views your job, what would it be?
Oh, I'd want the public to recognize the level of professionalism and care that goes into transporting a livestock. There's a misconception that it's simply moving animals from point A to point B, whereas in reality, it's much more complex. Our drivers really are animal caretakers, biosecurity guardians, safety specialists, logistics problem solvers, environmental stewards, and every decision really is around the well-being of the animal, the safety of the food supply, and the livelihood of the producer. So a lot of work has gone into it to that point, and you want to make sure that you take good care of the animals when you're transporting them. So the work is highly skilled, it's meaningful, and it's often unseen to the general public. And particularly when we're in winter months, we've had sometimes calls from concerned individuals that the trailer isn't completely enclosed and the animals must be freezing in there. And the reality, the trailers are quite warm inside when you have a load of animals in there, and they need fresh air. And so you can't overheat them. So those are some of the things that definitely are some misconceptions sometimes.
Thank you, Bill. I really appreciate you shedding some light on the livestock industry today. Is there anything you'd like to add?
No, it's been great, and thank you for the time.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you to everyone who listened today. I would like to extend my thanks to Kevin, Pearl, and Bill for joining us and telling their stories. If you're a specialized hauler or have another industry story you'd like to tell, be sure to hit up our DMs on LinkedIn or Facebook at Alberta Motor Transport Association or Instagram at AMTA_CA. And for today's AMTA news, AMTA's 88th annual conference takes place April 22nd and 23rd at the Grey Eagle Event Center in Calgary. Registration and sponsorship is now open. And mark those calendars. AMTA's 76th Professional Truck Driving Championship takes place May 30th at AMTA's Edmonton International Airport location, and details will be dropping soon. Stay safe and see you next time.
Thank you for listening to this episode of AMTA's Steering Change Podcast. The views expressed by guests of the Steering Change Podcast are their own and may not reflect the views of AMTA, its hosts, or sponsors. Did you have a question that you would like answered on an upcoming episode of the Steering Change Podcast? We want to hear from you. To submit a question to the Steering Change mailbag, hit up our DMs on LinkedIn, Facebook, or Instagram with the hashtag Steering Change, and your question will be answered either live on the podcast or by one of our SMEs here at AMTA. We ask that you share this episode with those in your network that could benefit from what we discussed today, and make sure to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast platform so you can be notified when future episodes are released. You can learn more about us and our mission by visiting www.amta.ca. Now get out there and have a safe day.